You'd love to be more successful, right? Who wouldn't? The problem is finding time to do even more when your to-do list is already overflowing. This is Bob Proctor. What if I could show you how to simplify your days and start multiplying your results by doing one simple thing every morning for only 6 minutes? Because the truth is, success doesn't have to be complicated. Click to learn more about how 6 minutes to success can help. Try it today for just $1. What have you got to lose? $1? 6minutes-to-success.com.
TV party tonight! TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else!
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes, to our favorite shows!
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Pearson and Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening, ladies and germs. This is TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show is Cloak and Dagger, Season 2, brought to you by the good people at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Freeform, ABC, Signature Studios, and Marvel Comics, because I couldn't think of anything else to say. Joining me to talk about this is the only person on earth I could get to watch this show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the disapproving dad, the man who is going to be my tag team partner for the Superblog team up and join me in mounting the ever insurmountable mountain that is Jupiter ascending. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jesse Starcher. How do you do, sir?
I'm gonna say it before you. It's a weird fucking show, man.
I thought you were just going to say fuck, because I've already beat you to it.
No, I was gonna say, come on. I'm not taking that away from you.
Okay.
I
like to
Cloak
say
and Dagger.
I like to just yell fuck from across the house, especially the house I'm not living in.
Let's not do that anymore, okay? Try and want to keep the peace around the old Radulich in-laws house.
No,
there.
I'm trying to get myself thrown out of here.
Oh, you got cancer, huh?
I went into White Castle and my in-laws, and I got thrown out.
Boot to the ass. Right out of there. Wow. Well, all right. Well, listen, and we're here to talk Cloak and Dagger Season 2. I find myself not hating this program. I don't understand why other people aren't watching it, to be honest. It's not bad.
I think, one, Cloak and Dagger is not like, A-list or B-list superheroes. They're like C or D-list, number one.
About that, yeah.
Number two, it's on, like, Freeform, which nobody watches.
You got Hulu, though. I mean, if you got Hulu, for Pete's sake.
You gotta know it's there to look for it.
Okay.
So, you'll have to pardon me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I caught the cold that the rest of my family had. They finally gave it to me. Could you believe that, Jesse? They gave an immune-suppressed person their cold. Fuckers.
I'm writing a strongly worded letter.
You should.
Give me the address.
Send to my wife.
4 letters appear in the mail. What's this?
One to my 5-year-old who can't read.
How dare you?
Anyway, so yeah, I'm still dealing with a bit of ick here, but I'm going to try to make it through this podcast. I might just have you talk. Occasionally, I'll just yell at the word fuck. But seriously, folks, I think it has like a steady following of people who found the show, liked the show, stayed with the show, but this isn't reaching a vast audience. It's not on a great channel. They're not exactly characters people seek out. I mean, I don't even think they have a current series right now.
Yeah, I mean, they did have the recent one last year that we covered, but I mean, I think that's they're not. And I'll tell you, one of the things we should have done is introduce this somehow as the soundtrack to just about every teeny bopper out there. Also in a show called Cloak and Dagger.
I don't think they do a tremendous amount of marketing for this show.
Well, that
when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when they announced the new season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there was a lot on that. especially when they brought in like Ghost Rider and like 2 seasons ago they ran the Ghost Rider part of the season, the LMD part of the season, and then the Agents of Hydra part of the season. And those were all heavily marketed. And then the year after that, they were in space and they were in the future. And they were part of the Kree Empire, and like half the Earth was blowed up. And that's like the second half of the season, they came back to the present, but they were dealing with like graviton. Mm-hmm. And I think that they marketed pretty well. And then, this one, there was a lot of talk about, like, oh, this is the last season, this is the wrap-up, and there was a lot of people paying attention to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is also on ABC proper. Granted, it's on Friday night with this, like, death for a television show.
Yeah.
But at least they try with that one. Runaways, I don't know. If we weren't doing a podcast, would you know the Runaways was out there?
I don't know. To be honest, here's the thing. I really don't know how advertising reaches me because I don't have a TV I should say I don't have cable. So I'm not watching, I'm not watching stuff that has commercials. Right. If anything, I might catch a commercial on YouTube. And so, yeah, I would have not probably known anything about Cloak and Dagger unless I came across it on the internet.
Well, I mean, if you're watching Hulu, that stuff will come up.
Well, not if you have the non-commercial version. It's kind of rare that you see that. I mean, it may pop up in like your feed or something.
Jesse Starcher, are you paying for non-commercial Hulu?
Yeah, buddy, I will. I sprung for it there a couple years back. I've never turned around, sir.
Wow, because you are a notoriously cheap bastard, so I'm just surprised.
Dude, let's see. I think it's like it's like $13, which is about the same price as Netflix now. So it's not really. And hell, if you were now, did you bundle it with Spotify? Because I think that was a big selling point there for a lot of people recently. They bundled it with Spotify, which means you had to have the ad version. But anyway, regardless, I'm pretty hard to market to. Because I am Mr. avoiding any commercials, any advertisements. It's rare that I see a bunch of it. So, long story short,
sometimes you see this shit on billboards.
Okay, maybe.
And you've never seen a billboard for Cloak and Dagger.
What's that? Now, I around here, sir, we get our local businesses such as the dentists, and
okay,
yeah, we're not seeing anything with national TV. They kind of fly over Langford here.
So Cloak and Dagger is kind of like Bong Up, the Wrestlers, and Dark Side of the Ring was for Viceland, where it was like they found a show, they marketed a show to a niche audience, they used that audience to try to watch other shows on that channel, like Most Expensivest and Bong Appetit Cook-Off. Are you familiar with?
Most expensivest is a word.
Most expensivest, yes.
Oh boy.
I shared that once with Robert Winfrey. I'm pretty sure he still has the scar marks from where he cut himself.
Another word made up by Mark.
No, I did not make this up. The show is called. Dude, Google this shit. Most expensivest.
That sounds ridiculous.
It is.
Ridiculous.
It's all about white people shit. Hosted by a black guy who says things like expensivest.
One. Very nice.
Bong Appetit Cook-Off is hosted by, I think it's Be Real from Cypress Hill.
And they're smoking weed. That's a given.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Given. I would almost kind of watch that.
Well, the chefs are... Oh, dude, you need to watch Bong Appetit Cook-Off. It's the fucking best. Yeah, but while the chefs are like actually like cooking for the contest, they're just smoking, just getting...
Oh, they're getting ready. They're getting getting
tore from the neck up. I'll tell you what.
It's beautiful.
Anyway.
That is stuff.
So yeah, back to Cloak and Dagger. Even like the Netflix shows, which are now all canceled, I think had more marketing from Netflix. Just videos that were in people's feeds and shared around. Like when Cloak and Dagger got renewed, I don't think there was a huge announcement about it. I haven't heard anything about a season 3. But we did season 1, and it wasn't bad. And because the Radulich and Broadcasting Network tends to focus on a lot of comic book stuff, we're here for season 2, and that's just where we are. You still with me? I think we had some technical difficulties there. I might have broken up a bit, but we're all good now. Just so you can hear me, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get into this weird show. This weird show.
Let's put on a record.
Listen to
Talk about it.
Listen to some film. I might hit that blue note.
Oh my! As long as it's not the brown note.
Oh goodness gracious!
Have you heard the brown? Have you heard of the brown note?
I've heard of the brown-eyed girl.
Oh goodness! All right. So what are we gonna talk about here? Cloak and Dagger. And Dagger.
So the first season ended with Tandy and Tyrone, Dagger and Cloak, Tyrone and Tandy, Cloak and Dagger, as it were, taking down Roxxon Gulf. And we pick up, and in the wake of that, Tyrone has gone into hiding because he's being blamed for killing a cop. And Tandy and her mom have, made up. Mm-hmm. That's where we pick it up. This is 8 months later. Also, O'Reilly, went into the swamp, got hit with the Dark Force energy, and split into, two personalities. And the second personality is all, confidence and anger and violence. It gets dubbed Mayhem, which is a character from the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So
now you say two personalities. Are you giving away? Are you attempting to give away what actually happened in episode 3 by calling them actually two different people? Because that's kind of what happens, right?
Yeah, but that happened at the end of season 1.
Oh! I thought it was when she come out of that swamp. I didn't realize that. I thought they were kind of hiding it as that they were the same person. I didn't realize they were two different people until they were standing face to face with each other in this season.
It might have. Well, okay. I knew that she turned into Mayhem at the end of season 1.
Yep.
Whether or not she was two distinctly different people, we may not have found out until season 2. So you might be right about that.
Yeah, that took me that threw me for a loop because that's kind of what I was expecting, and then because we read. She was part of that first series that we read.
Yep.
And then I didn't see it coming where oh shit, she's two different people. And, one is uninhibited and completely filled with rage. And the other one is not mentally handicapped, but kind of emotionally handicapped in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mayhem was definitely different for me this year. I kind of enjoyed her character.
Yeah, she's fun. So this is not... This is not the Punisher. This is not a lot of crazy action. This is not Luke Cage. Motherfucker walks up into the hideout, gets himself shot up, and starts throwing guys through walls and shit like that.
There's a couch.
This is a very, very slow-moving, sort of emotionally loaded show.
Agreed.
There's a lot of angsty teen drama going on here, and a little bit of superhero stuff. Cloak and Dagger, the comic duo, were known for doing the street level Starcher thing. Mm-hmm. They went after the pimps and the pushers and the druggies and the muggers. They never really had a big rogues gallery of superbads. They weren't up against Kang the Conqueror and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this season now that they're established, the first season mostly dealt with bringing them together and them figuring out their powers, and there was a lot of backstory that you had to wade through before you finally got anywhere. And then towards the second half of the season, we finally, start to see a little bit of that. This season, it's not a whole lot faster, but there is some stuff that happens early on, and I bring all of that up to talk about one of the plot lines of this is that they go after a prostitution ring, which is very Cloak and Dagger-ish. So, picking up where things left off, where Tandy's in a better place, she's going back to ballet, she's doing well with her mom, and Tyrone is in hiding, hanging out in the church. What did you think of the first 2-3 episodes of the season?
Oh, it was decent. Like I said, I was hooked on the Mayhem stuff, finding out about Mayhem. But as for Tandy and Tyrone, I think just from, I had to recap myself on the synopsis. Unfortunately, I can watch these things, but usually I I have to rely on the recap to kind of refresh my memory on what happened, especially in the earlier episodes. But I remember reading here at the end of episode 1, they were saying that Tyrone was kind of doing some vigilante stuff on his own, and Tandy...
He was stealing from drug dealers.
And Tandy was wanting to kind of like, hey, what's going on? Why don't you need my help? So that, there we're establishing that dynamic of the two kind of leaning upon each other, and when they're kind of separate, the other one wants, the other one needs the other in some way. That gets more pronounced as we hit towards the end of this season, but. And then let's see, episode 2, which was called White Lines. We have
White Lines, White Lines.
Sing it, buddy. This is where we learn about the Veve, which is that symbol that they first see when they go into that club, and that leads them on the path. And we also meet Andre Deshane in episode 2. Which is
otherwise known in the Marvel Universe as Despair.
That's correct. I had to look that up. I had no idea who that was, and he was an established villain, not mega established, but somebody that's been around for a little while, called Despair.
He's one of the Fear Lords, along with Nightmare.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Probably not going to be a part of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, though.
Oh man, I cannot tell you how excited I am for that movie. I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, man, what are they going to do? It's like going to be What If, and then we get a What If animated series. It's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, I know. Like of all the things, you're gonna be like, I'm paying for Disney Plus just for What If.
Sure. I'm paying for Disney Plus.
Oh my God, stop stealing.
I didn't say a thing. I did not say a thing. So, yeah, and we see Tandy kind of go after that. I think it's in these episodes where she kind of goes after a dude that beat up one of the girls that was at
her and her mom are going to like a support group for
for
abused victims, and somebody in there goes back to their abuser.
Yeah, and I like that. I kind of like the way that that episode like nearly ended, where she goes in to the guy's house and takes one of her light daggers and scrawls across the wall, leave her alone or something along those lines. But these two are picking up and becoming these vigilantes, and they're trying to right the wrongs of not the universe and not the world, but what they see in their own lives. So
I just, as I watch this show, the one thing that kind of irks me is that it is absolutely set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But like, how do the Avengers not know who these two people were? There's never any. Like, I want General Ross just to show up one day and be like, "Where have you two been hiding? Get over here."
Well, I would say that they keep a pretty low-key profile. I mean, they're not out there making everybody aware of what their powers are.
No,
the only people that kind of...
But when the one guy starts floating in and out of drug dens, people are going to talk.
Well, people will talk. People will talk.
So
I see where you're coming from.
I just I think if there is a third season, I think they need to catch the eye of like Shield or something. Even if they don't like drag them into Shield, I think at some point we need not necessarily Nick Fury, but we need a Shield agent to just like show up and kind of keep tabs on them. Be like, if you two are going to continue to use your powers out in the open, we're gonna have to talk about this. I just feel like I know that a lot of the television stuff is basically just kind of exists on its own. Yes, it shares the same universe, but basically they kind of occupy their own. That's why it's not set in New York or Los Angeles. They don't want them running into like Jessica Jones on the street.
Yeah.
So it's set in New Orleans, where, like, to my knowledge, none of the other cinematic universe people are currently living. Mm-hmm. I think John Cena is doing 12 rounds there. That's about it.
All right, Ben.
It was shot in New Orleans, Jesse. Did you know that?
I do now. So glad. I still had questions about the ambulances. I had no idea what the hell was going on there.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of episode, at the end of those trio of episodes. So here's the thing. I was pretty invested in this season, just because there was a lot of questions that I wanted answers to, and I didn't feel like they were going to kind of, you say it kind of a lot of backstory to it. There was one episode clearly dedicated to the background of Despair, which okay, I dug that. They almost did a whole episode where we saw what the events were leading up to with Mayhem and.
Well, I said the first season was very
Riley.
First season is very laden with backstory. This one moves along at a swifter of a pace. Like they're dealing with the prostitution stuff, they're dealing with the abuse, the drug dealing. Like early on, the first 3 episodes, there is some stuff happening. It starts to slow down episodes 4, 5, and 6. This is where we get Rabbit Hole, Alignment Chart, and then fucking B-sides. The What If episode.
This is the one you were like, wait till you get to the fucking alternate universe. And I'm like, oh, shit. I can't wait.
An entire episode of the different ways they could have come together and found their powers. And I was like, by the end of it, I was like, oh my god, this show already.
Yeah, well, the problem is that even though I love the alternate universe stuff and, you know, we got these alternate takes on what could have happened, it's not like you have no idea what the end result's going to be. You know she's going to wake up. You know that this is definitely not what it seems. So, you know, as much as I enjoyed seeing what was going on, I
felt like that episode was very inconsequential.
It was. What do you learn out of it other than you just see that, okay, well, she's just kind of reliving her life. And I guess maybe the only thing that you really get out of it is that you have an idea of Despair's power.
Right. Well, they're bonded together. No matter what happens, they are together. They are meant to be together. In some way, they are Cloak and Dagger. You know, however the universe unfolds, they are a unit. And that's kind of the point of that episode, in my opinion. However, we already kind of knew that. They did a lot of that in the first season. So I felt like I was reading a review on this, and they were like, you know, because Cloak and Dagger doesn't have like a signature graphic novel, it hasn't been the most popular of series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Really, a lot of people don't know who they are. That the showrunner and the writers of Cloak and Dagger really don't have to follow a traditional format. They can kind of do whatever they want with this, and so they spent this entire season exploring elements of voodoo, which is fine.
Voodoo, running from
a magic. Yeah. They spent a lot of time exploring elements of voodoo, and like New Orleans culture and all that, and like that's fine. I kind of got a lot of that, not the voodoo stuff, but I got a lot of like exploring the culture of New Orleans with Treme from David Simon, and which was set in right after Katrina in New Orleans. So it's like,
oh wow,
all right, I get it. And it makes for some degree of interesting television. It doesn't necessarily grab me, though. I felt like a lot of the voodoo stuff was kind of, all right. Mm-hmm. It gives the show an aesthetic. It gives it a unique identity.
I agree. And it kind of gives it that magical type of alternate feel to it. I don't know the word I'm trying to say. It has, you know, magic can be involved here.
Right.
So.
And they went out of their way in the movies to be like, no, there's no such thing as magic until Doctor Strange came along.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, now there's magic. Earth has wizards now. Whereas this is a very spiritual oriented show, and there's a lot, you know, and they talk a lot about that. I don't know. I don't know if I would watch this if we weren't doing podcasts on it.
Okay. Well,
after 2 seasons of this, I don't know if I'd stay with it.
Well,
on the other hand, I stayed with Gotham, and that was a pile of shit. So what do I know?
Well, okay, there you go. All right, you've already tortured yourself enough. I mean, I think that this is not bad compared to that.
No, this is fucking Shakespeare compared to Gotham.
I'm looking at the synopsis for episode 4. So this is where Connors comes back into play. Where apparently last time we saw Connors, which was he was the cop that killed Tyrone's brother. Last time we saw him, he got like enveloped into the dark dimension, right?
Yep.
And so this is kind of like him coming back into this season and what's been going on with him. As I think it's Tandy and Mayhem end up going into the Dark Force dimension somehow. And
they go into Cloak.
Yeah, exactly. They go into Cloak. It's kind of tough to say that and not be like, boy, do I sound like an idiot saying that. But
they bend him over and they go inside him.
And then he coughs him up just like the donkey from Doom Patrol.
That's right. Crazy. It's all connected.
What do you think of Connors? The whole Connors angle here.
Again, this went on a little too long. Like, I like that they brought him back, and I like the first couple episodes where he's back, where he's like I having gone through the dark dimension and being alone with my thoughts for as long as he was, it's like, okay, I get it. I'm a terrible human being, and I should be punished. And so he's trying to, like, convince Tyrone, please hear me, know that I did a bad thing, and I want to make up for it. And it's just like, can we please move a little bit faster? It takes forever to get anywhere with this, and then I think as we move into like 7, 8, 9, and 10, like I want to say, eventually justice is served, and Tyrone is able to reconnect with his family and get out of the church. But after a while, like that, the whole, like, it's very weird writing because there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of balls in the air, and they get resolved one by one to where you're only left with Tyrone and Tandy going after Despair.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it takes, this is only 10 episodes, but I feel like it took forever to get there.
Yeah. As for Connors, it got me to thinking. They don't really define Cloak's power at all. They still don't. I mean, you kind of get an idea of what happens, but it's interesting because as these kids are going around with these powers, they have no idea how they work. It seems like they're still discovering them as they go. So when Connors comes out of the Dark Force dimension, I'm still looking for that linchpin to make me go, okay, what is this thing? What is
They established
this
in the first season that Tandy's powers run on hope, his run on fear. And that
exactly
he can kind of control it in the second season, but there's more there's more to his powers that he has yet to figure out yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's trying to figure out, he's like, last time I saw Connors, he was in me. And he had no idea. He's like, I can't get him to come out. It's not like he could just cough him out or spit him back out. That's the last time he saw him. So he's coming in control of it, but still there's so much shit that he doesn't know. And it really made me go like, man, I wonder if there's some material. And if there is, maybe we should look this up for season 3. But I wonder if there's some material out there that kind of dives into the Dark Force dimension comic book wise, because they're really, to me, it's still something that I have not much of an idea as to what it does and where it comes from, blah blah blah.
Yeah, Doctor Strange needs to make like a special appearance.
It wouldn't surprise me if that is like probably something that they really used a lot of in the Doctor Strange comic books. But either way, Connor's coming back out and like completely repentant for what he'd done, and just like, okay, you here, look, this is what I've done, and he throws the cuffs on himself, and I'm like, wow, okay, this dude is...
Hey, not for nothing, but I'm living in my in-laws' house, and like, for 8 to 12 hours a day, I'm like bored out of my fucking mind. I can only imagine what his life was like.
Yeah, he's just walking around. He has to deal with, the sins of his past a lot in there, and so I kind of dug the Connor stuff. I really think it was fucked up how it ended, with how he was a prisoner of Tyrone's mom. Mm-hmm. She's just what is I want to make sure I use it right. Is she interrogating him?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I used it right this time.
She's trying to figure out whether she should kill him or turn him over. And again, it was just so drawn out.
Okay, all right. Again, maybe it's how did you? I mean, you had to have binged this because I know you had a lot of time on your hands. I mean, did you straight up binge this? Like,
here's the problem. I finished it. I started watching it like 3 episodes at a time. So, like, the first 2 episodes debuted the same night, and then by the time I got to them, the 3rd episode would come out. So I watched like the first 3, then I watched I think like the next 3, and then I had to chunk the last 4 because Hulu said they were going to expire. Except that you can still watch them on Hulu, so I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, that was what was strange. I get back in there and I'm like, the whole season's there. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and watch it. Me and the wife, I think, binged this in about a week. Mm-hmm. So, but to me, I don't know. Maybe it was because I was invested into what was going on with each one of these characters and each one of these storylines. Maybe a little bit more than you.
Maybe it's not that I wasn't invested. I just felt like
get on with it.
Yeah, I felt like we could have gotten there maybe an episode. We could have resolved some of this stuff an episode less than what they did.
Are we going? Okay, no, go ahead.
I just don't feel like they had enough content for 10 episodes.
Okay. Well,
they needed to do more. They needed to flesh out some more stuff. Like, I like the despair angle, and they really spend the last 2 episodes, I think, just exclusively focused on him. And I like the last 2 episodes. I liked, he was a jazz musician, and he started having migraines, and he was going to kill himself on the night of the Roxxon thing, and then he got these powers. And I liked the concept of putting people's, like, fears and emotions or whatever on records. And so, like, the metaphysical aspect of his realm being this record store, I was really interested in it. And then, like, the whole thing, like, I'm going to hit that blue note. Look, there's only so many ways you can do, a villain's plot. Mm-hmm. At least there was no blue laser in the sky. He wasn't trying to take over the world. He just wants to hit that blue note, baby.
Yep.
And because Tandy and Tyrone were not on the same page when the season started, getting them on the same page and getting them to work as a unit and really solidifying that they need to work together towards the end of the season, I was digging that too, but it just took a long, winding road to get there. Like I was, I much preferred the second half of the season to the first half.
It's like, how many times did we open up with a damn record store, him pulling a record out and putting it on? And I was like, oh, geez, here we go again. But like I told you,
I liked when Mayhem smashed the record store. That was fun.
Yeah, she was gone. Yeah, you could see that she was just going to town on all that shit and just trashing the records. But like I told you there in the chat, I think it was a spectacular way to kind of push that soundtrack too. That how many fucking songs do you hear in an episode?
Take on me.
I knew you'd dig the.
Take on me.
But there's probably at least 4 or 5 songs per episode, and I mean it wouldn't be at least 5 minutes sometimes between songs.
I was particularly gassy yesterday, and my daughter said, "Hey, that's that Viking sound."
The Viking Town sounds?
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Mark your bingo cards, everyone. I just made a fart joke.
Fart joke.
Because we's classy.
That's right.
No, I liked all the record stuff. So let's
unique way of showing it.
Let's talk about one of the funnier parts of this thing to me. Like it shouldn't have been funny. It should have been like heartbreaking, but it just made me laugh. When the aunt and God, what the hell's her name? The character's name?
Avita.
Yeah, Avita. The aunt dies, and are you still with me?
I'm here.
The aunt dies, and Avita's like, "I was gonna go to medical school." She's like, "You're just being selfish." I laughed my ass off at that line.
Oh man, poor Avita. All she wanted to do, and it's like, nope, you're going to get married to an underworld god.
Yeah, you have to marry a Loa. Tough titties, Avita. Medical school's nice, but voodoo's better.
Baron Samdi is his name, which is an actual thing, I guess. Apparently,
yes. According to the link.
Yep. That was, I guess, an interesting twist when, in order to save Cloak, which I have no idea why all of a sudden he collapses, and they really don't tell you why, do they?
No, not really.
Other than just, hey, he's going to die. You need to do something. Okay, I'm going to light a candle, and then the aunt shows up and says, "Well," who, by the way, got killed by despair.
I think this was their interpretation of Cloak needing to be fed by Dagger.
Really?
I think, without saying it directly and without them doing the comic book thing of her actually pouring the light into him.
That's what I was waiting for. I was like, oh, that's what's going to save. That doesn't happen. No, instead, she goes and plays a 2-player arcade game called Duel in Despair.
Yeah, I actually thought that was fun.
I'm down with that, dude. The fucking guy.
There's a lot of symbolism in this show. Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism in this show. A lot of really fun visuals and symbolism. That's where the show gets me. It loses me in how long it takes to... Fucking Doom Patrol was 15 episodes, and I didn't feel like it was this drawn out and meandering.
Woo, wow.
Like, Doom Patrol moved at a brisker pace.
And that's an hour an episode, too. This is 45 minutes.
Yeah. and that's the thing. It's like, this meanders and takes its time, and there's a lot of repetition. And that's, almost sounds like the writing is bad. It's not bad. It's just, I don't think it's meant for us. Like,
Okay.
we're two middle-aged men watching a show that's meant for teenage girls.
Yeah, I can definitely see a part of that. I mean, again, though, I had a good time watching it. There were elements to this that made me go,
Jesse, you don't have to be ashamed to like teenage girl stuff. It's fine.
No, there were so many times where I was like, here we go with another damn song. Oh my gosh, this song. I mean, the Spotify soundtrack to this fucking show has got to be at least 12 hours long.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
My gosh.
Hang on, I got the sound. I'm gonna pull up the soundtrack right now.
I don't think you can.
No, it's on Spotify.
It's probably still going. They're probably like, oh, we gotta. People are adding songs feverishly, and they still aren't done. Pull it up. I'm curious as to what the length is, if you can get it there.
So
Now,
it's 42 minutes.
it's
13 songs. It's 42 minutes.
Bullshit.
Viking Town, Run for Your Life, Numb, Lost in Translation, Still I Rise, Shout.
Oh yeah, they did cover that. I remember
Shout.
that one.
Let it on out. These are the
Ugh.
The Lion, the Beast, and the Beat.
Nope.
Moira's Choir, Legends with a Z. Baby One More Time. 12 Rounds starring John Cena. Take on Me. And Searching for That Blue Note, baby.
That's probably some little jazz single. There's no way that represents all the songs that were played in the first episode. I mean, the first episode had more songs than that. For crying out loud, there was a lot of songs throughout this thing. So
There is a playlist here.
yeah, now if this is something that's curated by somebody that paid attention to the episodes themselves, then look at that and tell me how long that is.
This playlist is like a zillion songs long.
Yeah. Problem is, you don't know if that's...
What I brought up, though, was the actual soundtrack.
Okay, well, that's the actual soundtrack. They're probably like, we're going to sell this CD somewhere, so it needs to be 45 minutes long.
Yeah, sell a CD, right. I'm buying a fucking Cloak and Dagger CD. Get the fuck out of here.
I gotta get that Cloak and Dagger jam.
But, yeah, I enjoyed a lot of the visuals in this. I think it's one of the stronger parts of the series. All the stuff in the record store, and then the interactions between the Ant and Despair. I actually really liked, but it was only one episode, so good. It wasn't 8 episodes of them jawing in a record store. And then the stuff, like I said, with Evita, where there's a lot of stuff about identity in this series, and split identities and stuff like that. And so you have Evita, who was this good private school girl, and she's hot for the star basketball player, and then their whole world just get disrupted, and she's like, well, as much as I want to help this guy, I got to go live my life, and the Ant's like, no, you don't. Mm-hmm. You become a voodoo bride.
Yeah.
And she's like, ugh, what a curse this family is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even feel bad for the leads. I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing is the understated villain is definitely a thing in these Marvel TV shows. Not so much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because everything on that show is over the top and overdone. It's just ridiculous. But even like Jessica Jones. Like, did you watch Jessica Jones season 3?
Yeah. Yep. I made my way through that.
So like the villain in that Fool Killer, like he's just like a dad bod.
Regular dude. Yeah. Collects clothes.
I'm trying to think of even Bullseye from Daredevil season 3.
I'm halfway through that one, and what was so funny was I had no idea Bullseye was going to be in that season.
And you wouldn't know by looking at him.
No, you would have no idea. I was like, oh, wait a second.
He just starts throwing shit in office, and he's dressed as Daredevil. You're like, whoa.
Whoa, Bullseye. Like, he ain't supposed to be. Holy shit, it's Bullseye.
Yeah, right. So, the understated villain, nobody has silly costumes. Like, MODOK's not showing up on any of these.
No, not fucking Arnhem's or wait a second. No, he already showed up one time, didn't he? That was the
yeah. So I like the way they handled Despair. You know, that he's just a dude with these powers, and you know,
he kind of has a bit of a tragic backstory too. He's got the headaches. He's trying to do anything he can, and then he just kind of stumbles upon the fact that, oh well, hey, I can feed off of people's hope and actually alleviate some of this. The problem is you leave people without hope when you do that.
Right.
And then he decides to start this whole ring of
like his criminal enterprises are there basically to feed his need. Much like Cloak, he has to feed his power.
Yep. And he goes about some very, very shady ways of doing it, becoming a grief counselor or whatever that is that he does. Where and it's not a grief counselor. I'm sorry. It's a counselor for people who what do you call them earlier? They were
Domestic survivors of domestic abuse.
Thank you. Which is a perfect place for this guy to get as much as he can in regards to just feeding off of people who are trying to have some hope and have gone through some really shitty stuff, and it just makes him feel better. Is it the fact that he's feeding off the hope itself, or is it the fact that he's feeding off their horrible like experiences that kind of makes the hope go away?
I think he's draining the hope from them.
Okay, all right, because that's almost actually symbolized when he has Tandy down there and she has that dagger in her hand and he's like, it's okay, go ahead, you don't need that here, and he takes that dagger, which is made of hope, and he takes it away from her. Good piece of symbolism.
So it ends with Tandy and Tyrone deciding they're going to take to the road and they are going to continue to do street level hero stuff. So now I'm really excited for season 3 because they wrapped up one story in 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. Like the end of season 1's kind of like if you look at it as like a full television season, which are usually about 20 to 24 episodes. Like I think like The Flash and all those like CW shows are around 15 to 22 episodes. Mm-hmm. So you figure take Cloak and Dagger, the first 10 episodes, break, then you have the second 10 episodes. That's all really one story that they wrapped up.
I can see that.
Tyrone's been cleared of any wrongdoing. Tandy has, made up with her family. They've gotten revenge on Roxxon. They've gotten revenge on Connors. Everything, and they've discovered that they were blessed with these powers and that they need to do good things with them. They can't just lead normal lives. So they're taking it to the streets, taking it to the streets. That's how I hope they open Cloak and Dagger season 3. Like punching out drug dealers and taking it to the streets.
That needs to be on the soundtrack. Send them an email.
But really slow and sung by a chick.
Oh yes, please
make it really
as emo as possible.
Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets. Sorry.
Perfect.
So anyway, I think that's it. I'm not going to belabor the point. It's okay. I give it a B+.
Okay.
It moves a little slow for me. Again, like I said, I don't think I'm the target audience for it, but I'm definitely more excited to see where they're going if they're going to have a season 3.
Okay.
Maybe we'll find out at D23.
We just might. You never know.
Do you know what D23 is?
You explain that to me. It has something it's the 23rd sequel to the Mighty Ducks.
Fuck.
Don't get your wife riled up here.
It's the Disney. It's the Disney convention.
That's right. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I knew it had something to do with Disney.
All right,
so
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Flip it down. Oh no.
Oh no. I'll throw out a couple other favorite parts that I had in this season. So there was a point where they did reference Luke Cage.
Yep.
And that was in a diner where this guy was reading an article. So the article was about Luke Cage, and it was written by Karen Page, which was pretty interesting.
Good old Bug Eyes.
I did love their attack on the Viking Hotel, Cloak and Dagger's attack on the Viking Hotel. That was awesome.
Yeah, on the like off chance there's actually some action in the show, it's actually done pretty well.
I know. it was, and you look at some of the special effects, which were really neat for a TV show. I mean, you don't have to do much to kind of have somebody teleport to somebody. Basically cut away. He's not there anymore. And, oh, hey, you're over. It's a new scene. But there were some really neat times where Cloak's, his smoke effect or dark force effect, whatever you want to call it, was actually done really well, in my opinion.
Yeah,
especially in that.
I don't think the show is cheaply made.
No, in that church where the smoke is just kind of billowing out from under him when he was passed out. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, their attack on the sex traffic hotel and taking all those guys out, I thought that was badass. But the best.
Sex packets, $1 or $2. Just try one. How many for you this time?
All right.
Sorry.
The final shot though, when they were fighting Despair.
Yeah.
And there is some of the coolest, like, tandem, united front fighting with Cloak and Dagger, where the final shot is like her jumping out of Cloak's cloak and stabbing Deshane with one of her knives.
Totally ripped off from Game of Thrones, by the way.
No, you're going to have to go back to the source material, sir. I guarantee you're going to find that was used somewhere in the comic.
She's totally copying Arya.
Well, if I ever watch that show, I'll make my own decision.
I'm kidding. Just kidding.
But yeah, I thought that was probably one of the most badass parts. Was when it was slow motion. Here she comes, and boom.
They really they were struggling with Despair the entire episode, and then she just gets them with like the one shot, where they really come together and use their powers. Yeah, like a good tag team tandem, like the Rockers.
That's where I was going. You took the words right out of my mouth. No, at the end of the season, you realize that these two need each other, and when they're together, they are a great team. And they finally decide and understand that, because at the end of season 1, they're kind of apart, and then finally at the end of the season, they're off on the road again, trip time. So, but they're together, so that's pretty cool. So I enjoyed it.
I'll be curious to see where they're going. I mean, they shoot a lot of stuff in Georgia, provided that Georgia doesn't ban abortions. So I don't know if maybe they're headed to Atlanta. What?
Is that still on the table? I had no idea that was not.
Pay the fuck attention to that shit.
Politics.
If it doesn't have superheroes in it, I don't care. Anyway, so maybe they'll head to Atlanta next, because again they shoot their stuff in Georgia. Maybe they'll stay in Louisiana, just not necessarily in New Orleans specifically. Like I said, they're heading out on the road. So I'll be curious to see which direction they head in to kind of keep it. They need an urban area for them to kind of mess around in. Maybe Dallas. If they're heading, if they head west. Again, I don't, like going north and going to like the Midwest. I don't know why they would do that. Also, to thinking like where they're going to shoot these things. So, again, maybe the Mid-Atlantic area, the Carolinas. Only maybe they'll not screw up the accounting and get canceled like Swamp Thing.
I don't think that's the official line now.
Oh, what's the official line?
I remember hearing you mention that. I think shit's changed. Like the whole accounting error thing came up, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, that's what happened." But then something else. I'll have to look it up and get back with you next podcast. But I honestly heard something different happened as well. So, poor Swamp Thing. And I hear it's a really good series too.
There's a chance that it'll get picked up by HBO Max, and it just won't be on DC Universe, seeing as they are owned by the same company.
Well, as long as Cody carries it.
Stop stealing. All right, that's it. That's Cloak and Dagger Season 2, unless you got anything else you want to add.
Oh, man, I had a good time. I'm glad I got to talk about it with you. I mean, I enjoyed myself. We'll see what Season 3 brings, and what new songs can be on this soundtrack.
what hip-hop fucking pop song can they slow down and sing all sad?
I wanted emo covers just completely throughout the whole season.
I would like the entire thing to be soundtracked by Pantera songs sung by Bjork.
I want no dialogue, just complete soundtrack. I want to feel it. All
right. Next week, we got Robert Winfrey. Here come the judge.
Come the judge.
He's He's judging DC Hanna-Barbera 3. Tune in to hear me pitch David Simon an idea.
Oh, did he get back with us, by the way?
No.
Well, doesn't mean he didn't like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just running with it. There's no need to tell me about it.
That's less money he's got to pay somebody.
What's it like doing a podcast with Mark? He will find a way to somehow work a movie or a TV show out of anything.
Makes a point.
We'll be covering Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on Damn You Hollywood this Tuesday. Myself and Jesse will be covering the new L7 album, Scatter the Rats. And then myself and Sean will be doing an on-trial for Jackie Brown by Quentin Tarantino. Check out our Robert Winfrey and our review of Sabaton, The Great War, our review of The Lion King, and Jesse and I's review of Cloak and Dagger, Shades of Grey.
All right. Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich In Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. Wrestling, TV, heck, we talk comics, we talk movies, all sorts of great stuff. So if you want to check that out, make sure to find any platform that hosts podcasts, specifically Podcoin.
Check us out on Podcoin, baby dolls.
You want to get paid to listen to us, trust me. It's at least worth your time to listen to us at that point. But yeah, check us out on Podcoin and any other podcast platform that hosts us. So, Mark Radulich, let's get out of here, sir.
I'm about ready to try to breathe into a CPAP machine, see if I can kick this cold. Because I know everyone loves to hear me clear my throat on the podcast and cough.
Let me clear my throat.
Now Jesse knows the deal. All right. All right, for Jesse, the dagger to my cloak. You are all the hope. I am all the fear. Jesse, I like to open up my jacket and let Jesse come inside me.
No! No!
Good night, everybody.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology truths.
Truth, you will certainly send any text about your supervisor to your supervisor.
What's with Janet's bangs? Did she lose a bet with a weed whacker? LOL. And send. Wait, no.
Truth, it's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at geico.com.
Janet, I think my phone was hacked or something.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Here it comes again. Lunch. Will it be the same old, same old? Or are you ready to take a vacation from the ordinary with the new Jamaican Jerk Turkey Sub at Firehouse Subs? Freshly sliced smoked turkey breast, craveably sweet mustard sauce, and a hint of Caribbean seasoning. Just $5.55 for a medium. Save time. Order the new Jamaican Jerk Turkey Sub on the Firehouse Subs app. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs. Save more lives. Participating locations. Limited time only, plus tax. Prices may vary for delivery.